right, ladies and gents, welcome to episode 7 of the podcast. We still haven't got a name, but we could be rolling with lockdown, fitness lockdown podcast. I think that might be a good one.
The podcast maybe should be called We Haven't Got a Name Yet.
Yeah. So today's episode is going to be looking towards mentality towards goals, and the setup that we've got in mind is basically just going to run a who, what, when, why, and how. So we'll just basically just work through every aspect of this principle and try and get it as precise as we can and see how this can help you in terms of plotting your own goals and probably potentially talking to our own goals between me and Myles ourselves. So, who?
Everyone pretty much, and everyone needs to set themselves a goal, especially if they need or if they want to do something. I mean, if you're, let's say, training is a very good example. If you're going into the gym and you're just going in there, you've not got a program, you've not got an idea, an end goal, then you're just really just exercising. I think that you're not going to make any progression in that way. You're really going to be kind of quite stagnated. And sometimes even if you set yourself a goal, let's say to A and B, you kind of can go all around the houses and then you kind of lose motivation and end up in a way failing.
Yeah. Realistically, I think if you're not stepping in the door with a goal, because you don't just go in and just be like, I'm going to do cardio for no reason at all. Like, you go on cardio to improve cardiovascular or to lose weight. I don't think there's any two real ways around doing cardio. And then, like, every aspect of resistance training, you can cue it or adjust it to whatever goal. So you wouldn't do so many reps of a certain weight to go just to do it. You've got that set in mind, like, oh, endurance, oh, power. There's no point like eyeballing it because there's just no need to.
Well, it's not having a goal is a success for the. It's technically a plan to fail.
Yeah,
you're not really obviously organising yourself in a way. Like, the best thing to do is to make it as simple as you possibly can. So a good way of obviously making sure you can set a goal right is set some kind of like end goal and little plot lines in the way of obviously making sure you can get yourself to it. So you're not just having this big idea, you're splitting it into different little kind of cutting sections that you can go one ledge to another, and slowly before you notice, boom, you've got to from A to B.
It's like a jigsaw. Like, I don't know how you do a jigsaw, but I always do the edge and then work in.
Oh, do you? I don't do jigsaws. It's so bad. I don't do jigsaws. I couldn't think of anything worse than to do a jigsaw.
What are you doing on lockdown?
No, FIFA, clearly.
Yeah.
Lovely Wolves career going on.
Right, so if we jumped into what, I think the SMART principle is going to be a massive thing.
Yeah, it all depends massively on your, let's say, the realistic of how you can do it. Yeah. There's no point, let's say, I want to lose 100 pounds in 5 weeks. You're setting yourself up to fail massively if you're doing an unrealistic goal like that. So you've got to be sensible in that kind of way. Take time. There's also as well that kind of level of adherence you've got to do for it as well. Just know if you're trying to make, let's say, a quicker... Obviously, a lot of these kind of goals we're going to obviously relate to weight loss because it's quite a kind of easy subject to kind of touch upon. And a lot of people are going to kind of go, well, set myself up to lose 5 pounds. I've set myself up to do 10 pounds or something like
that.
Yeah. Kind of lost thought of what I was going to say, Ben.
I was going to say, I'll literally, just for anyone that's not heard of the SMART principle, so I think this is straight off the top of my head, but specific, measurable,
durable,
achievable,
achievable, yeah, that's it.
Realistic, timed.
Yeah.
So every aspect of that needs to be, I think, considered. Because if you set yourself the goal to lose 5 pounds, but never said when you're going to end it, It's like, what, you want to lose 5 pounds in 5 years or 5 days? So everything in that, you need to be measuring it to make sure you are progressing with your goal. Realistic, obviously, because if you set yourself something you can't do, or you know that's physically impossible, you're going to get about 10% of the way through and just be like, nah, I can't do this. So you're going to give up. And specific. So don't be so broad in the fact of, I want to lose weight. How much weight do you need to lose? How much weight do you want to lose? How much weight, as your doctor, you need to lose?
Make it as simple as you possibly can. Like I said, if you're trying to run 4 or 5 things through your mind every single day, because again, weight loss again, that's quite. It's easy to look at, but when you get into the nitty gritty of things, and every day, it can become a quite hard task. So you having 5 or 6 plates running isn't going to help. It comes out of me naturally. But yeah, a lot of the time when you're setting a goal and all that, you need to be clear with yourself. You need to be a little bit fair with yourself. Not obviously, don't go for something that you think that's going to be easily achievable. Do something that's kind of, you're going to find a balance of something that's going to make you really emotionally happy, but at the same time, you're going to kind of shoot yourself in the pants a little bit.
Yeah. If you don't find something difficult within training, you're just going to get really tedious of it, and you're not going to enjoy it.
Yeah, you need to find yourself a challenge and stuff like that. And the realistic aspect of it is like, let's say, for example, there's lockdown at the moment, and you're trying to build yourself up to, let's say, a good deadlift and stuff like that. But you haven't got the deadlift equipment. You're going to get yourself quite frustrated in that.
Yeah.
Or another big example is obviously the increase in muscle mass, but you don't have a great deal of weight. There's a lot of aspects and stuff like that.
I mean, it's hard to judge. Like, realistically, if you have a major goal and you're wanting to plan it now, I'd say get it ready for when the gym comes. But if you look at your goal and you're like, well, this could be blocking me. So if, in a fact of like a deadlift, if your mobility is poor to actually physically do the exercise, break it down, speak to someone, figure out where's wrong and how you can progress with that in the meantime whilst you've got the time to do it.
Yeah, I think also, well, approaching someone and kind of getting a coach or someone that's going to hold you to that kind of level of adherence is going to massively help, because that takes a lot of the weight off as well. If you've got someone who's like doing your programs, doing like your meal plans, or giving you certain tools and elements to put you on a little bit more of a clearer path of what you are kind of doing, it's going to make the job a lot easier for you.
I think not just like a path, but like someone will be like, this isn't what we planned. Like, you're not on target to what you wanted to do. So you need
someone that needs to be realistic with you.
Yeah.
Someone needs to be real with you. If you've got someone who's saying it's all right every time you have a big bag of buttons, he ain't the right person for you. He needs to be telling you to put that shit down and eat an apple or change something.
You need to be adherent to someone that is going to be mean to you. If it's someone that you know really well and they're always going to be nice to you, it's not going to work well, because they'll be like, oh, it's okay, we can pick it up again another day. But then it's like, coaches will understand when bad days happen, but if they're getting consistent and you're not making any like changes to get rid of this, a coach will have a go and be like, yeah, you're paying me to get you these results and you're not adhering to what we told you to do, so what's going on? And you need to turn it around.
Yeah, exactly. But it's obviously when you are plotting things out and you are making sure you know what your end goal is, you need to like look at your day, look how that situation is going to play out, if you know, let's say you've got kids and stuff like that, and you know that you need to cook their meals pretty enough every single day, and you've got a fussy child, or you've got a lot of foods that, let's say for kids like having a lot of things like treats and stuff like that. So if you've got things like that in the cupboards, and that's fine, you're finding at a level of hardness to stop yourself from going into the cupboards and eating them, then you obviously got to have a look at aspects like that. So think of little scenarios in your head and write that shit down. Writing things down on a whiteboard and a book, something where you're going to see it pretty every single day. As Mike's got a good example of that, then that's going to make it a lot easier because you're going to constantly remind yourself as well. Set yourself little goals throughout the day. That's one big key thing I would always say to everyone. 3 little tasks you could do in a day to make that goal 1 step closer, or 3 steps closer in a way. So, someone's ringing me. I'll answer him back later.
Have you, like, how do you break yours down? Because, like, obviously you've got, in terms of, like, training blocks, you could also, like, navigate it towards goals. So, like, was it micro, meso, and macro?
Yeah.
So you could set yourself a goal in the same respect of a week, a month, and a year.
I would say the best way of, I wouldn't say the best way, but in my opinion, this is the way I kind of do in majority of class, and even myself, if I'm setting a goal.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'll have where my end goal is going to be. That's the main clear point. So I want to be. I'm going to set myself an end date. So having a time where I need to be at that time. I'm going to write a kind of halfway point for me. So let's say, for example, in 9 months, I'm going to look at kind of 3, 4, 5 kind of month kind of period where I want to be.
Yeah.
I might even split it up to a 3 or a 6 month period where I want to be here and here. And then on a weekly basis, where I want to be in that day, and even on like a daily basis, how about 3 little tasks like I just mentioned before? Because already by that kind of structure, I've turned a big goal like into a thing, like 3 little things I could just focus on every day. And it doesn't have to be, again, like weight loss. So it could be a healthy habit. Yeah. And I think because we're in this kind of lockdown period at the moment, this is a great time to work on things we haven't worked on that we should be working on, like things like sleep, eating habits. Even working on when things like little weaknesses and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think if you're on the path of getting into healthy habits, even the smallest things of even not buying the crappy stuff is on the path. So, like, every goal will have a sub-goal, and that sub-goal will even have smaller goals. And there's little plots within this that you can sort yourself out with.
You got to think of it as a little bit like having little wins now and then. Let's say, for example, a game. You have checkpoints. You have little wins. You get a life up. You go down or you go up.
Yeah.
They're going to kind of keep you on until you get to like the big boss, the end game. And that's what intrigues you to keep yourself going, is these little kind of wins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
These little challenges, pluses. So I wouldn't say have lows, because then you kind of like...
You get swamped. Don't know where to start with, I feel.
I would keep it quite simplistic. But even still as well, what I've just mentioned now might be like, whoa, that is just way too much for me. I've not got the time to do stuff like that. Or I haven't got the motivation at the moment. And that's fine. Obviously, there is a time and place for everyone. We might be even saying set yourself a goal, but it might not be the right time to set yourself a goal. Or it might just be a case of your goal is to maintain or just keep one habit going. Obviously, it depends on the person itself and how you deal. You need to learn about yourself a lot more to be able to achieve a lot more in that sense.
Yeah. In terms of like, we'll put this in like a personal level so people can sort of like put like an aspect and like a comparison to what's your own personal fitness goals?
So I'm currently trying to do a little bit of a cut. Reason being is obviously for me, this is my kind of off season at the moment.
Yeah.
I feel like in the last kind of few months, I've kind of become a little bit complacent for reasons of my own. So I feel like even though, yes, this lockdown might not be the greatest experience, but it still feels like I can work on. Obviously, my fitness and my cardiovascular levels, that needs to be optimal for me when it comes to getting myself back into pre-season or in season. I could do a lot of maintenance work when it comes to weightlifting and explosive training. The level of stuff you have to do to maintain, let's say, muscle mass, minimal. It is very minimal. And it's hard to get to, but it's quite easy to maintain. So for me, I currently weigh about, I'm going really specific at the moment, I probably currently weigh just about 168, 169 pounds at the moment.
Kilogram that aren't in the pound system?
Probably about 77 kg. Now, I kind of want to lose around 5 to 10 pounds of that. Now, even though that's a bit of a goal of mine, I always try to get my clients to go on a performance-based goal rather than weighting, because I find that when you do focus on, like, let's say, performance-based goals, let's say another goal of mine at the moment is trying to get sub 20 or 5K. I'm like 28 seconds off at the moment, which to a runner, that's quite a big stance. I pretty enough have to waste about, let's just say, 10 seconds off my time every single mile, pretty much, which is quite a bit of hard work. But if I do that and look at things like my nutrition, my sleep, my recovery time, the body composition will come a part of that. And in a way, when it comes to, let's say, why I want to be at that kind of level of leanness, or I want to be a specific weight, it all comes down to I want to play well at the sport that I'm playing, which is currently football.
Yeah.
It's not coming off the base of, I want to look good. It's a case of base of, I want to be at an optimal level where I can perform better. So when you look at it like that way, your focus changes in why you want to do things. You kind of got to ask yourself a lot of why questions and break that down to an emotional reason why you want to be able to do the stuff you want to do. Because ultimately, most goal broken down. Yeah, most time when most people want to break down goals, the end goal really is to be more happy. Yeah. You need to have an emotional charge to the goal as well. If your goal is to, again, let's say reach a 5K or some max time, but you don't like running, you don't want to do it. Your friend Brenda's doing it, but you don't want to do it. You're not going to really be a pre to do it, are you? But then let's say your goal is to, let's say we're talking about a mother here, is to be fit enough to play with her children as she grows up, then it's going to give a bit of a more compelling reason why you want to be doing stuff you got to do, or take the sacrifices you need to do in order to reach that A to B point.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's just setting yourself something that you actually are going to want to achieve, and that you can figure out yourself that you're going to actually enjoy the process. Because obviously, for me right now, obviously it's a bit of a struggle, but strangely enough, I'm trying to get into a bulk. So main goal for me is hitting 90. But obviously, I got to 88 last winter before I got ill and pretty much lost 6 kilograms. So I was like, that's a lot of work wasted. But reassess your goal, go back in and just jump ahead. And then mine, generally, because of the principle of my training, I don't aim for like hitting. Mine is more for hitting numbers. So like my program's more towards like your RDLs and your pressing. And I will I'll write everything out, be like, right, 6 to 8 weeks time, I want to add 20 kilograms to this. And obviously with a progressive overload system, I can keep motivated because I'm adding little weights or repetitions to my sets. And that is a motivator on its own.
So saying that now, obviously because you're trying to bulk in a period where that might be a little bit easy considering the fact we're staying a little bit more static now. And I know obviously yourself, you're still training stuff like that. But how are you, let's say we're doing that RDL now.
Yeah.
How are you setting yourself up for putting that extra 20 kg on, especially when you haven't got a barbell or you haven't got the adequate weight to reach that kind of level of a goal.
So generally, every exercise that you can think of can be broken down into a simpler process, or it can be applied with a different style of resistance. So for me, currently with an RDL, I'm working through heavy bands, but then I'm also concentrating on eccentric control, so the downward portion and the general tempo and the positioning I am in for certain moves. Obviously, with a band, you don't just get the band, you can adjust. Like, I stand on top of the band for an RDL, so if I went for a wider stance, I get less band, so I get more resistance from that little bit of band. Obviously, shorter stance, more narrow stance, sorry, I get more band, so the resistance drops. So it is playable and you can move around to your goals. Obviously, a band will not be applying what the weight you could potentially be doing, because I think I got up to 140, but obviously I'm not going to be able to pull that off with a band. So I've sort of queued everything out, focused on form, and I'm working on mobility more as well, just so I can go back in. My range of motion's still there, and I can get better when I come out the other side of all this quarantine.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point to kind of touch upon as well. And this is going to be more case of the people who are, let's say, strongman trainers or your big lifters and stuff like that, or strength training. The better your programming is, in a way, the less times you're going to kind of touch that kind of heavy load. There's obviously percentages and stuff like that of a 1 rep max. Yes, you might not be optimal to set yourself up to hit that new PR, because you're pretty much going to not be there for a good couple of months. But there is a lot of little things you can do, and Mike touched on it very well, the fact that you can look at things like your weaknesses, like your mobility. Obviously, there is so many better ways now to become a better athlete.
Yeah.
So in the point where you get yourself back to that level, you're setting yourself up to go even further. But even still, like, for the people who also as well are worried about losing their strength, you're not going to kind of, it's hard to explain really. So even though you might think to yourself, like, right, you're going to be losing a lot of strength, that strength, unless you don't do training for a very long period of time, that strength won't just diminish.
Yeah, it's going to come back quick.
Yeah, but the efficiency of how you do that exercise and the weight you're doing that exercise might be it. So you might not understand. Your body might not be used to lifting, let's say, so much on a bar and stuff like that. You have to retrain yourself as well. A podcast that I recently listened to with a few of my colleagues in ProFit, the Strength Collective on Coach Rimmer's podcast, is a really good, and they explain it very, very well of how to do that. So if you haven't listened to this, go and have a listen to that as well. That's on Spotify and all that. Really good example of explaining a little bit more in that kind of area before going out of topic and stuff like that. But I think that kind of relates a little bit more into the realistic side of things as well when it comes to setting up a goal.
Also, I think in the fact of, you might have one goal, but there's no issue, or you shouldn't feel guilty in reassessing your goal if you need to.
Yeah, I mean, like, it might come up to, let's say if you're setting a long period goal, like, let's say 6 months or something like that, you might get to 3 months and you might be a little bit less content. You might be a bit more. Things might have changed. You might have developed and learned something along the way for you to change. Or there might have been another situation thrown a door, let's say an injury, for example, or you find you're interested in switching. That's fine. On the flip side of that as well, people tend to lose a little bit of focus as they're going through a goal, simply because the pain that is causing them at the beginning isn't the same as the process you get to the end or the midway point.
Especially if you plateau during. Because I think a plateau for a lot of people is a make or break.
Yeah. And a good thing about reassessing yourself is kind of seeing where you are now and kind of hitting the reset button.
Yeah.
Or in a way, setting a new plot line within that kind of goal. So you're kind of changing it up and freshening things up in your mind a little bit.
Yeah, the goal's still going to be the same, but the plot can change. So, like, if your goal was to lose weight and you were training a certain way and you were just lost interest, you could go to a different form of exercise and yet still lose weight. You don't need to be stuck within a routine of, I'm having to go to the gym, I'm now bored of this, and I now don't want to go to the gym. But yeah, you see someone that's doing something like CrossFit, and you're like, ooh, that looks fun. Give that a go, or enjoy that. The goal can still be achieved, but you're actually changing the dynamic of how it's run.
Yeah, exactly.
So we are up to when. So I think
we mixed a little bit of everything in there, really.
Yeah. Well, we had when, why, and how, but when is, if not already, right now. Like, that's going to be a massive factor. Like, especially if you're planning now for when you get back in the gym, you've got time to assess it and figure out all the aspects of it. Now you've got the time.
I think you've got more time than anything now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're making excuses now, you'll make more excuses when you are back into it. I think because everyone's got, obviously, yeah, there's people working at home and stuff like that. But obviously, certain things, the situation change. I think this is a really, really good time. And this is also as well kind of focusing on the things that we can control, which is a really good key aspect. I would definitely reply on everyone. Focus on the things that you do control. If you focus on things aspects that you don't control, again, you kind of making more reasons why that something might not happen or why things shouldn't happen.
Yeah. Because I've one that I think annoys me a little bit is the fact of when people say they can't find or get to a gym. Because a lot of the time you can either set it up at home or you can find a lot of gyms in areas. You're just not looking deeply enough.
I think people just make more excuses than they are.
Yeah.
I mean, like, when like a big one is tracking food. I mean, people find, let's say, tracking food very excessive, but then again, you don't find tracking your money in your bank account excessive, do you? So,
I was literally
if you want to be financially,
yeah,
if you're going to be financially stable, you're going to track your money. If you want to be accountable with your nutrition, guess what? Track your food, your calories. I mean, it doesn't take much. You probably take that much time on social media more than anything. And I'm not saying that from a standpoint I don't do that. I do that. I do go on social media and social rounds where I could be filming more content. I could be doing a bit of a more exercise. I could be doing that. You can always do more than what you're currently doing.
I think a lot of people look at MyFitnessPal from what they've seen like on the internet and all this and think it's really confusing. But
I think it's a lot. I think it's a lot simpler than that. I think it brings a lot when you're doing something like tracking or whenever you're doing like things like, let's say, like little free tasks or meditation or gratitude kind of exercises where you're getting yourself to think about what you're doing.
Yeah.
It can cause a lot of upset and a lot of people try to run away from that. But ideally what you should be doing is kind of looking at that, taking a little bit of a standpoint, and then finding your way yourself around that or through it. I think that's why most people kind of avoid tracking food because they kind of realize that, yeah, they might not be eating the way that they really should be, or their current lifestyle doesn't match the lifestyle that they need to have or what they want to have.
And I think it's the fact of like if it's yours, you've got to own it. I'm probably gonna get a bit like fired up about this one, but in the same respect of if you aim to lose weight and you got to the end and everyone's saying, "Oh, you look really good," you can own that because that's your work. But in the same respect as if you fuck up, you've got to own that as well and just be like, "This is my own fault. I need to sort this out."
Yeah, take responsibility.
Yes.
Very, very true. Stuff like that.
You can have a coach and they can tell you how much to eat and what to eat, but if you like, oh, I'm just gonna have this on the sly, And if you don't track it, if you have 100 grams of chocolate every 2 days, after 14 days, yeah, I've just had a couple bits of chocolate, but you've had 700 grams of chocolate. I don't know that off the top of my head of calories, but if you added that up in calories to what could potentially be your expenditure right now, which is severely lower than it probably will be normally, especially if you work in a very physical job like me and Myles. Like, I know that when I've not been on the gym floor, or if I've been at Sainsbury's, or Myles not been on the gym floor, he's going to know when he hasn't burnt as much. And a lot of people, I think, are neglecting the fact that when they're not moving as much and they feel guilty about it, they're going to eat a little bit, which is going to add up because they're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And you need to own that. And if you're listening and you're guilty to this,
which we are,
yeah,
we're all guilty. Just remember, like, as much as we're trying to point out a lot of the things that everyone does, we're humans. We make mistakes.
but
I think if we were coming at you saying to the point of, we do this and we do it fantastically, we wouldn't be the right people to talk to about it. I think you got to be honest. I know people know me as a snacker. I love my snacks. I used to be a fat kid, so I like my treats. I still do. If, like, for example, I'm back at home at the moment, back at my family's home, they've got things like chocolate Weetabix. They've got little bars everywhere that I don't usually have in my house. And I'm just a sucker for just going to that cupboard and grabbing it. I'm hoping they're not going to hear me at the moment because they don't really know that at the moment. Kind of blame my little sister. But that's the thing as well. And I think going back to what we talked about before, about talking about them little consequences that can happen and them little scenarios in your head, writing them down and having an action for when them kind of cravings come about. That's boom. You're taking that level of responsibility and you're having an action for it. It's thinking of literally every little thing that could happen and think to yourself, right, what will happen if I do this? What will happen if I do this instead?
yeah,
It's definitely creating that kind of how long you want to be, weeks, months, years in your head, and put it into a platform where you can pretty much see it every single day.
I think you just need to be fully honest with yourself. Even if you have a coach and you're not saying that you're having little treats, that they're going to understand why you're having little treats. But if you don't tell them, they're going to have to try and figure it out and then make it. So if you're having more calories and they're like, oh, we might need to drop your calories down a little bit just to play with this or increase your expenditure for something that you might be doing only now and again, it can play around as well. So I think it's really important to not lie to yourself. And if you do it, if you're tracking food, just put it in. If you're going for a goal and you have a bad day, put it in. Because if you say, yeah, it was all right, and just put the same numbers as last time, you're not going to look back at that and be like, yeah, it was fine. You can understand where the issues have come from. And if you say, today was a shitty day, I didn't do very well, and my performance was poor, you can look back at this, check everything else that's going on in your life, see if it was a stressful day or you had a bad night's sleep, and control the variables, and that's all going to add up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, it is measuring pretty much what you want to do. If you do want to take it serious and you do want to actually do it, you do need to make some sacrifices. And if you think some of that is being excessive, then you might need to be a little bit of excessive, especially if you want to achieve it. Yeah, and that's not just going for weight loss goals. That's going for pretty much everything. If you want to even achieve a healthy habit or something that's not even fitness related, you need to find a way of measuring it. You need to find a way of looking back and going, well, like Mike just said, why things went well, why things didn't go well. And then setting yourself up for little targets. If that's the case, like sleep is a big thing. Most people, when they're falling off their fitness goal, majority of that is going to be down to their sleep. Obviously, yes. Again, there's going to be certain aspects that are going to make things like a little bit harder, like lifestyle and stuff like that. But you do need to prioritize around your sleep. I think if people spend quite a little more time focusing on their sleep as they do with their training, they'll be there a lot quicker, or they'll be a lot more clear about what they want to do.
Yeah. Obviously, don't neglect what we're saying and sleep for 12 hours and wake up at noon. You've got to find the right balance, as with everything.
Saying that, my sleeping habit at the moment is all over the place.
Called you midnight the other night. That's what's done it.
Yeah, too much gaming. But yeah, but you kind of know. You need to know yourself again why things are going wrong. I'm repeating things that I've said before, because it really is a key point that you need to start getting yourself into and stuff like that. And if you can really master the things that me and Mike have spoke about today, there's a lot of things you will be able to achieve, and you'll be able to achieve it a lot quicker.
Yeah.
That's the thing is. But the thing is, as well, what we might say might not work for you. You might find hearing something else somewhere else. And if that works for you, great. There's not just one approach to this. There's quite a lot of you. But success leaves clues. And there's obviously a few patterns that obviously leave into place.
You got an analogy and I was happy about it. No, I think controlling the variables is a big step into going it. Figure out the variables, control them, figure out the main goal, figure out smaller goals, and plot day by day. Rome wasn't built in a day. And neither was your fitness journey.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So who's been covered, what's been covered, when, why, and how we've broken up as we've gone on, because obviously it's line in. So I'd say we're pretty much there. You got anything to finish up with?
Yeah. One big thing for me is if you do fuck up, don't hit yourself so hard about it. Everyone is going to make mistakes. We're human. We're pretty much built to make mistakes. It's also another way of learning. See how I flipped that out? But that's what I mean. It's just like, take every little mistake you make and somehow turn that into a win.
Yeah.
Or if you can't turn it into a win, next time you go and do it, set yourself up for a win. And I think on that, I think we'll end that there.
Yes.
Great. So that's been today's obviously podcast. Obviously, we touched on a lot of things about setting goals and kind of scenarios about how things might happen. Obviously, I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, if you have any questions or anything like that, by all means, give myself or Mike a shout. But we'll see you guys on the next podcast. Peace.